Greetings to one and all present. I am Varigunda Kavyashree, third year journalism student from Presidency College. The title of my paper presentation is Media Influence on Right to Fair Trial, a review of media trial in India. Media is regarded as one of the tenets of democracy. It helps society realize its goals and aspirations, both in political and social and economical arenas. This process of influencing makes media a a very influential tool in democracy. However, one of the setbacks of media is media trial, which um, which interferes with the judicial proceedings, and it interferes and creates a bias in the minds of people who watch it with regard to certain cases. This this tampering with this tampers with the golden principles of natural justice, which is the presumption of innocence until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Media trial uh, has various concerns apart from this diversion from legal obligations, which is the right to fair trial, right to privacy, and it also is subjected to a lot of ethical concerns, which make media trial a highly controversial issue. The objective of my study was to understand the term media trial and its conflict with fair trial and right to privacy, with its connection with contempt of court. My aim was also to study the ethical codes of conduct that media trials preach, and and understand the implications of media trial on the conscience of people, judges, and the accused with the help of case studies. The research methodology that I have adopted for this study is quantitative approach and the case study method. So in dealing with the project, I've tried to discuss various case laws, case studies, wherein the role of media was rather pertinent. Some of the cases that I've discussed are Uma Khurana sting operation case, Tarun Tejpal sexual assault case, A.K. Ganguly case, Hafzal Guru hanging case, Ruchika Girhotra murder case, Nitish Katara murder case. The relationship between judicial proceedings and media is inevitable and necessary, because if you look at the previous two cases, Nitish Katara case and Ruchika Girhotra case, if not for the media attention and the probe by media, the cases wouldn't have reached the finality and the closure that are needed. And it was very much necessary to balance the gap between the justice delivery mechanisms in the country. However, the media has to have its motive clear, as in to its motive should be to amplify the voice of justice and not to garner TRPs and sensationalize cases. Media is also subjected to a lot of criticism because of the insensitive reportage and the death cases of Sri Devi, a famous veteran actor, and Sushant Singh Rajput hold a testimony to that fact as well, which we might discuss after some time. So the conclusion that I've come to in my case laws is that there is something connecting between these three cases, where media put the entire situation in a mayhem kind of a situation. Some of the cases where media uh, deteriorated the situation and evidences is Uma Khurana sting operation case, wherein live TV held a sting operation, and Uma Khurana, who was a teacher in one of the Delhi schools, was accused of running a sex scandal. It was later found to be false, and this broadcast actually had a lot of negative effect on her reputation, and she sued the channel for defamation. So this is one such case where the role of media is rather negative than reformatory. And the Tarun Tejpal case is one such case wherein journalist and former editor of Tehelka magazine was accused of sexual assault. Times now broadcasted a CCTV footage of alleged events of sexual assaults and claimed that the footage shows the complainant and the accused. This breached the principles of privacy and also putting this also tampered with the evidence which was supposed to be presented before the court. A.K. Ganguly case is about a woman intern alleging that A.K. Ganguly had sexually assaulted her. A.K. Ganguly claimed later that he was hounded like a criminal by the media, and Supreme Court denied him in the later events, Supreme Court denies him the affidavit to the crime by the that was filed by the complainant, but it was later obtained by various news channels, and he could only obtain it from there. So it only shows that the interference of media can lead to a lot of confusion and injustice. Ruchika Girhotra case and Nitish Katara case shed light on the positive and reformatory role of media and how, with the right intentions, media can make a difference in the um, whole discourse. Ruchika Girhotra was a 14-year-old girl molested by a senior cadet officer in the 1990. After she made a complaint, the family was systematically harassed by the police officer and she ended up killing herself. The case reopened again after constant media coverage and the attention, and the accused was pronounced guilty after 19 years. So if not for the role of media, the accused wouldn't have been pronounced guilty, and this was the kind of reformatory role that media played in this case. Similarly, was Nitish Katara was a 25-year-old Indian businessman who was murdered in 2002 by Vikas Yadav. Nitish was in a romantic relationship with Vikas's sister, and the case was of honor killing. Due to the constant media glare, justice was served to the victim as media unraveled various evidences. These are some of the examples of insensitive and absurd reportage by media houses. This just shows on, this just uh, explains how media can take a, problematic approach in dealing with certain cases. And you can see that on the top right of the corner, that one of the news channels actually promotes occultism and superstition. So the analysis that I've come to is that these incidents of sensationalism not only set an unjust and flawed precedents for aspiring journalists, but this kind of sensationalism also breaches all codes of conduct and distorts the social responsibility of journalists by promoting superstitions and conspiracy theories which are unscientific. The recommendations that I've tried to formulate through my study is to reconstruct and redefine the scope and powers of Press Council of India into a more inclusive media council which has its ambit over television news broadcasting. So Press Council of India is the regulatory body which monitors the functioning of press, the print media in India. So my suggestion would be to make it into a more inclusive space for all media activities, and it can act as the regulatory body for all the media activities that goes on television news broadcasting, and stricter penalization mechanism by the regulatory bodies. So if you reconstruct and redefine the scope of PCI and make it into make it into a media council, then it can actually impose more regulatory measures and set a new code of conduct for the bodies, for the news organizations. So the other recommendation in my view is that granting of licenses to journalism, like in the professions such as media, professions such as medicine and law, can also be helpful, as giving licenses would entitle the profession to be more organized, and also it would give a sense of accountability, and more it would enable more adherence to the codes of conduct, and um, be in line and bring in a line of uniformity to the profession. Apart from all that, the literacy, media literacy in the society is very important for the audience to know what kind of content is objectionable and how certain things are to be, shown on TV and otherwise. It is very important for the audience to know what to ask from the news organizations and not be blind consumers. I would now like to thank all the organizers and the audience. Thank you. Have a nice day.